There we go.
All right, so hi everyone. Welcome to the My.Scouting slash BeAScout webinar where we'll help you learn the tools how to turn clicks into campfires. My name is Joey Lorman. I am currently part of the council membership committee. I've been a new member coordinator for the last 7 years for both PACs and troops in the Pilchuck district. And we want to say thank you for spending your evening with us. It's a warm one out there, so thank you so much for willing to be in front of your computer instead of outside. We'll start off with a how-to for the My.Scouting, and then we'll have an open session at the end for questions, comments, any concerns. Before we get started, we just want to talk about a few different things. So when you have youth applications in your My.Scouting tool, you'll need to go in and approve these right away. There should never be a waiting period between submission and approval. It should be something that we, do right away because we never want to diminish a new family's excitement with too much time between them turning it in and us responding. So make sure you guys go in and approve those right away and make that contact. Now, when it comes to adult applications, it's a little bit different. First, they need to get their safeguarding youth training done ASAP. I honestly would recommend telling them to do that first before they even apply. That way it's already done and ready. They cannot have an application accepted unless that has been done. And I know Nikki at the office will be like, hey, friendly reminder, please get this done. It is a very crucial step. So make sure to tell anyone applying as a leader that they need to get that training done. Now, once it is all complete and you're all ready to go, your COR, your Chartered Organization Representative, needs to approve that application. Now, we do completely understand not all CORs are responsive or hands-on with your unit. That's completely understandable. Not everybody is able to do that. So if you do end up with an issue where they are not responsive or not able to do that, you can ask them to assign a chartered organization representative delegate. That can be the person who's just in charge of accepting the applications. If you have any questions about that, Nikki, also at the office, Nikki McClendon, if you're not sure who that is, she's the registrar. She can definitely offer assistance with that process. Okay. We've had some people say they're not getting emails from My.Scouting when you do get leads. So make sure you know who the signed up person is to receive them. It should be going to Key 3s, Key 3 delegates, your new member coordinator. Those are the people who are going to be getting them. If you aren't receiving them, make sure to check the spam folder. You never know what's going to be going in there. I check mine regularly just because I get really important emails in them. So be aware of that. Also, do make sure that your email address is correct. I've seen simple typos that have prevented information. I've even seen it on some of our BeAScout pins in the area where they're a little bit, it says gamil.com instead of gmail.com. So make sure we have everything perfectly correct. So be in charge of your information, take charge of that, make sure it's all up to date. The scholarship process has been improved. This will be deducted from the online registration cost. If you have questions or want to be walked through it, again, Nikki McClendon, the registrar at the Mount Baker Council, will be happy to do that with you. It's a very simple process these days. All right. Also, we are coming up to where some of us were on the, November 1st through October 31st renewal. We do know that a lot of those people are coming up soon. So if your unit wants to pay for its members versus having parents pay, number one, tell your parents not to pay on their own if your unit is going to take care of that. So communication with that. There are also step-by-step instructions, and these are going to be sent out in September by your commissioners. So make sure if you aren't receiving that, contact your commissioner and say, hey, where can I get this information? It is a very, very easy process. I find it a little bit more simple than parents paying on their own. So if that is something your unit chooses to do, just make sure you are up to date on that. You know where to get the information. Again, that is a commissioner's role to send that out. If you're not getting it, be sure to contact them. Now, after the presentation, we'll talk about it a little bit more during the presentation, but when you are going in and looking at your leads, looking at your applications, please make sure to leave notes when you are communicating with them. The council has people that watches these just to make sure they're not sitting unanswered. So if you don't see notes or activity, if we don't see that, we get a little bit concerned. So communication is absolutely key. Make sure you are communicating with your people. So we'll go straight into our presentation. And again, if you have any questions, please save them for the end. All right, so my.scouting.org best practices. So we're going to talk about the invitation manager and the application manager. All right, so if you guys have not seen this page, I am a little concerned, but you guys should all be familiar with this. Your login here over to the right is your same login for Scoutbook or Scoutbook Plus. It is very easy. You don't have to commit to 2 different logins. You have the same one, so it does make it a little bit nicer on that end. All right, when you do get emails, it is really nice. I did test this myself just to kind of see what it was sending out to people. And it does say, you know, we're excited you're interested in scouting. And it sends them an email. It says, hey, basically, we've received your information. Here is someone to respond to if you don't hear something back. Now, my favorite part of this is right here where it says, please be patient. Our wonderful leaders are all volunteers, so it may take some time to get back to you. That, I think, is one of the best things we can tell people, is that we are not getting paid to do this. We are volunteers. We are working our best. We are doing our best. But again, it is also our responsibility to not take 2 weeks to respond to these leads and to these applications, okay? So again, make sure your contact info is accurate in your unit PIN. And as I mentioned before, this does notify your key 3 delegates, the new member coordinator. Those are the people who it's going to email this to, okay? When you get a lead, it's going to pop up and say, hey, you have a lead. Hey, you have an application ready. Work together to make sure you know who is supposed to be replying to that. Since it does touch so many people's email inboxes, have one person in charge of that. We all know that when several people have their hands in the cookie jar, it gets a little bit stuck and we can't really get what we're trying to achieve. So make sure you know who's in charge of answering that. Now, if the lead or application is in pending status, meaning it hasn't been opened, it will send out emails twice a week for leads and twice a week for applications. On Mondays and Thursdays, they'll send the email out for leads, and that is someone who's just interested in scouting. If they have actually applied, they will send out an email on Tuesdays and Fridays. So different days, but you can see we've got 4 days of the week where we are being notified. And again, all the people, the key 3 delegates, new member coordinator, they're getting these same emails. So again, make sure you know exactly who's going to be responding. Once it is opened, it should stop responding. It should stop sending those emails out. We know that there was a little bit of a glitch through National when they did updates to the system where it was just constantly sending out those reminders even though they were open. It seems to have been fixed, but just know even after you open it, if it is still doing it, that is not normal and that is not how it's supposed to work. It's only supposed to do it those 2 days, okay? All right, so once you log in, again, you're logging in using your Scoutbook Plus credentials. You'll go into the left-hand top menu here where it says menu. You drop it down. You can either go to Invitation Manager or Application Manager. The Organization Manager is where you can change your unit PIN. You can see who your key 3 are. So that's a little bit of a different tool we'll talk about in a moment. But these are the crucial ones, the Application and the Invitation Manager. Now note that if you are part of multiple units, you will need to select from the drop-down which unit you're looking at. Make sure that if you are part of a pack and a troop, your email, your response that you're sending to them is accurate. And I'm not sending welcome to Cub Scouts to someone who's joining a troop. So it creates a little bit of confusion. So just be aware of which menu you're looking at. All right, so once we have logged in and gone into Invitation Manager, this is where you can access and respond and track your unit's leads. So this here is your main page that is going to be brought up. When I said, make sure you know which unit you're going to, it's very easy. It says pack right here, Cub Scouts here. When it's Scouts BSA, we have Scouts BSA logo here. Now you have several different sections of this home page that are going to be very important. At the top here, we have our leads. We have new leads, we have open leads, and then we have a place where we can manually input our leads where we get outside of BeAScout. We also have a status summary of where we're at with our current leads. And then we also have just some analytics here, which are actually kind of nice to be able to track where they're coming from. In this box here, we're going to zoom in right down here. So each pack, each troop, each ship, everyone has their own QR code. Please note that if you do put these QR codes or the link to go to the invitation link, it's actually sending them to an application. It's not sending them to your BeAScout. It is literally going to send them an application to join your unit. So be aware if you do use these and download them on any marketing materials, they are going to send them straight to the application to apply for your unit. So when you're ready to do that, you can absolutely use these, but be aware that might not be where your lead is at right then and there. Now zooming back in, we have the analytics here. We have this little graph, this little pie chart. This one I love. They did change it recently, so it's very nice to be able to see. So if you have multiple leads, it will tell you right in the middle how many you have. It's going to break it down by color, depending on how many you have and how long they've been opened. Now, if you have one that's brand new, it's going to show yellow. If you have one that has gone to 60 days, it's going to show a nice dark color in there. So those are the ones we don't necessarily want to have going that long. Now, as you can see, this one is all green. It means that these 3 leads here have been completed. So 100%, and it's nice that it does break it down here for you. Just seeing, gives you a color reference of how long they have been. So something to keep aware of, and it's a just nice visual tool so you can say, hey, it's been a little while, we should check on some of these leads. Now back up at the top where we have our new leads, our open leads, we have this button here called New Lead. And again, this is where you can manually enter all of your leads that you have maybe at a join night. Maybe, you have a friend who was referred in, or a scout referred someone in, which is really nice to get the recruiter strip. So you can categorize them. So if you click this button, it brings you up to this, insert all the information here for contacting them. Now you see that the red asterisk, your first name, last name, email address and phone number, address and everything like that, that's not required, but the obvious contact information, name, email address and phone number, a way to contact them is required. So make sure you get those info tidbits from them when you meet them. Now, again, you can categorize them as well. Join nights are great. We know we're doing a lot of back to school stuff right now. We're holding these really cool events. So entering them in manually is going to help you track everything and see where your leads are coming from in your unit. This is a great tool to be able to use, and it's what it's for. It's used for us to know where everything is coming in from. So that way you can say, hey, it looks like we're getting most of our leads from join nights. Let's keep doing join nights. It's amazing to be able to do that stuff. So categorizing the leads for better tracking is going to be crucial to your unit. I would recommend running analytics on your unit, just kind of running reports, just seeing where all your leads are coming from at least a few times a year, just to see where you are getting your scouts from. All right, so when we open them, so going back to our home page over here on the top left, we're going to look at this little square here. So your status summary, this is where you're going to see your new leads, your open leads, anything that's pending reassignment, invitation sent in, anything that's closed or complete. Now, when you bring this up, you can hit view. It'll take you to the list right down here. And as you see, it gives you the little number icon here and in a color. That will also kind of go to the colors about how long it has been submitted and whether it's complete or not. So it'll come up with the parent's name. It will say your unit number. When we open that, it's going to bring you up to all the information that the parent chose to submit. Now, obvious contact information, we've changed the status here. We have phone number, email, how they heard about it. That's really nice because if it is someone who's referred, someone who learned about it from a join event, these are great. Then we can track that a little bit better. It gives you the date submitted. Now, again, remember the tracking or the lead emails only come out twice a week. So if you get it same day, great. But just know this date that was submitted might be different from when you actually opened it. Just something to be aware of. And then it gives information here about the youth. And then this tiny little gray box down here is where they can have a comment. I would really recommend reading those just to make sure you're answering any questions they may have when they have submitted it. So if you click this respond to lead button down here, it's going to open up an email browser. It'll open up whatever you use. So you know how you go to Edge or Chrome and it says open email, it's just going to open up how do you want to open this email. It's not actually going to let you respond through this tool, okay? Now, one of the most crucial things, as we kind of mentioned before, we want to see some notes. Again, Mount Baker Council has people who are watching these just to make sure they're not sitting for too long. If they see them sitting for too long, we're going to help and step in and say, hey, we're going to contact you guys and say, hey, do you guys need a little assistance? What's going on? Is everything okay? It's not anything that you have to be worried about, but we do want to make sure that these are, getting answered in the appropriate amount of time. Now, with this one here, please note that the status, whenever you open it, it updates the status automatically to open, and it timestamps it, and it puts the person's name who opens it. So if you have multiple people answering these, which again, we do not recommend, it's going to say who opened these, and it's going to say who's been responding. There is a character limit to anything you add in here. So I've done it before where I'm like, I'm leaving lots of notes, and it actually cuts me off. So brief notes, just letting us know, hey, I've responded to them via email. I've done this, this, and this, okay? So if you're ever wondering about who opens your leads, this is where you can see that. All right, kind of going a little bit more in depth into the lead notes here. We can see, okay, I've put emailed family, invited them to a meeting. Family came to the meeting, sent follow-up 2 days later. Youth had fun, family decided to join, sent registration info, and then once that is done, status goes to complete. Okay. It's very simple. Just leave us little tidbits of information. It also just kind of helps track where you're at for your own, mindset. If you end up having a joint event where you had 50 people interested and you have 50 different people and you're trying to track everything in your head, sometimes it doesn't work. So that's again why this tool is so great, because you can leave notes specific to each kid. This is available even if you manually enter them. So that's always a nice thing to kind of keep everything going and keeping everything in one place. Now, again, making sure right here, most important thing to here is documenting the activity. Even if you're doing it on your own email, it doesn't have to necessarily be through any kind of scouting tool or anything like that, but just making sure you're leaving notes. So logging into this, once a week when you are in your prime activity, like we're running into fall membership right now, or fall recruiting. So making sure you're entering all that information in. All right, so at the very bottom, right underneath where we had the comment from the parent, we have reassign, close lead, and complete lead. So differences between these, they seem pretty obvious, but there's a little bit of a difference. So if for any reason there is someone who needs to be reassigned from a lead from you to someone else, to a different unit, there is a drop down here. Okay, so as you can see, we do have not enough volunteer help. That is a very legit reason. If we can't handle we don't have enough leaders for the kids we're getting in, that's a very legitimate reason. Scheduling conflicts, special needs, too many members, or other. So it is mandatory that you do select a reason, and then it will reassign them back to the council or back to your Pilchuck district or to Salish C or North Cascades. So it will reassign them back to a different unit and take them out of your lead, so they won't be there anymore. Now, close lead, this one here is going to be people who have gone cold. You've reached out, you've followed up, you've called them, you've emailed them, you've texted them, you've gone through all the different channels of communication you possibly can, and they are just not responding. After that, you wait for a while. Don't do this after a couple of weeks because people do get busy. But when it does go fully cold, we say about 60 days, just because it does close automatically after 60 days. You can also close it manually. So if someone's like, it's not the right time, we've changed our mind, you can just close it. Okay, that basically says this one didn't go any further, they didn't join, we're done with this one. Okay, that also takes it out of your list of opened leads, so you don't have to get them confused with anyone else. Now, when you have a lead that you have emailed or called or texted, You are having them come to meetings. They're super excited. They're like, yes, absolutely, we want to join. They filled out the application. They have joined your unit. You can go into that lead and hit complete. The reason behind these is that especially when we are running reports, we are running analytics on our units, we want to see, do we have a lot of completions versus a lot of closing leads? So again, just finding out where you're at with your recruiting, where you're at with your marketing, where you're at with your membership. This is a really good one to have because again, in those reports you can run, it's going to break it down and it'll show you all the information behind that. So making sure you're not just closing leads or just completing leads. There's a differentiation between the two. All right, so this is the second tool. This is the application manager. So we've moved away from the invitation manager. We've gone up into the second or the first spot here for application. So remember, this is your home screen here. You can easily go from applications to invitations. Now, it's very, very similar to the invitation manager. We have total applications. We have applications in progress, closed applications, and completed applications. Then we also have, same thing, we have the summary down here, and we have alerts. So go down to the little pie graph here. What's nice about this one is, again, it does break it down by how long it's been since they've been submitted. But what I like about this is you can actually see how many you have, and you can click these to filter the results. So I can say, I want to see how many have gone in the last 30 days because we had an event, we had a joint event, and I want to see how long it's been and how many people came to that specific event in the last 30 days. And then you can filter it out. So that's a real nice way to run those analytics as well. Okay. So with these as well, so with youth applications specifically, because they don't have to be approved by your COR, your chartered organization representative, you can actually set it to auto accept applications. You will still get notified that there's an application and that someone has joined your unit, so that's always good, but you don't actually need to have someone go in and manually accept them. So I know a lot of units will actually have that toggled on, which is really nice, so it doesn't do that. Now, again, because adults have to go through their safeguarding youth training, they don't have the option of auto accepting those because they do have to be manually accepted by the COR and then also do that training. So no auto accept option on that one. All right. Also, when we go into the organization manager, so this is the third one. So we had invitation, we had application, now we have organization manager. And again, it was back on your login. We had our 3 different areas here where we could select organization manager. So you drop down your unit. We're picking the one with the 3 people right here. And then it brings you down to something that looks very similar, but without all the cool, colorful graphs and numbers. Now with this, we have a couple different options that are really, really nice. We have email settings. If you scroll down, you can toggle whether you actually customize and send an automatic email that goes out when someone sends an application in. You can add your own fee amounts, like if your pack or your troop charges troop dues or pack dues, you can have that in here, which is really nice. And then you can have an explanation. You can say, hey, we charge, $20 per month for den dues or pack or for troop dues, just because this is what it covers. It covers patches, it covers activities, it covers supplies, whatever you want, it can put it in there. And that way parents are like, oh, I see this email's come through. It gives me a little bit more information before someone contacts me. You can also send out an automatic welcome email. Now, the nice thing about both of these is that there's a sample email right over here. If you click that little blue link there, it'll show you what you can actually send. You don't have to be super great at writing. You can actually just send out the sample one, fill in the blanks, and it will automatically send it to anyone who sends out an application. So that's a nice little tool to be able to turn those on. Just make sure if you do turn them on, you have actually filled something out and you're not sending a random email with the X's for days and no location. So make sure if that is checked, you are actually having the information filled out. All right, now, not only in here do we have the application manager, we have the invitation manager, we've got reports. So there are a ton of different reports that can help analyze your unit's membership. The best practice is to see what is available, and then once you get familiar with them, compare year over year how your unit has grown and how they're doing. It can help develop strong and healthy habits to grow your unit. Okay. These are fantastic tools. And again, I highly recommend them for everybody to start using. It doesn't matter if it's going to be your new member coordinator or part of the Key 3. These are important tools to look because if you see that there has been challenges or you're doing amazing, you can continue it or pivot how you need to. All right. So that is my spiel. I hope it wasn't too fast for you. Does anybody have any questions, any concerns, anything you want to chat about as far as the tool that National has given us to use to track everything? Thank you, Beverly. All right, if you guys do have any questions or comments, feel free to just unmute and ask. We're happy to be here to ask any or answer any questions.
I have one for you, Joey. When you're responding to one of these leads, is it best to just email or should we call or should we text?
So you
Is
never
there
want,
something
yeah.
specific that should be in the email, short, long? Just some tips there.
So you never want to rely on one communication method because if you're just emailing someone over and over again, you're like, well, they just didn't respond, then we're losing out on something. Maybe they don't email very well. Maybe their inbox, I still come across people who don't have an inbox set up. But you want to make sure that you are doing a variety. If you email one week and you don't get a response, call the next week. If you don't get an answer from your voicemail or they don't answer just and it doesn't go to voicemail, text them. Try back and forth and see what works for them. And then when you finally do get a response, ask them, what's the best way to communicate with you? What do you prefer? That's always a really, really nice way to do that just because we want to make it in their preference. We want to get as much response as we can. So I would strongly recommend going through all the different methods. If you're a person who loves talking on the phone, number one, call. If you're a texter, text first. If you're an email, you can get them all done in one night. Schedule, send them if you need to, if you stay up super late or get up really early, then do email, but never rely on one source. As far as what to send, we recommend not sending all the information in one email because it can be very, very overwhelming to get an email about someone who may not know anything about scouting and you've got 5 paragraphs and it becomes very overwhelming and they might not know what to do with that information. So giving them basic information, this is what den your child will be in. This is, how many kids are in that den. This is the difference between a den and a pack. As far as, troops going, say, hey, this is a patrol, this is how many patrols we have. This is what that means. Also giving them the day and time that you meet. Some people do automatically like to go into this is how much it costs in that first email. I like to invite people. I say, hey, here's some basic information about our units. I'd love to have you come to a meeting just to check it out. Would you be willing to do that? Our next one is scheduled for this day. Would you be able to make it? And then if they say yes, then I give them all the details. I do like to be very protective over the youth by saying, don't just blindly show up. We want to know who's actually going to be there so we know who to expect and have all the supplies ready. So I would play around with both, but in my personal experience doing this, I'd say a shorter to medium email where they give a little bit of information, but not too much is going to be really, really nice. It looks like we do have a question, Beverly. So you can find the Key 3. You can actually find that in your organization manager tool in My.Scouting. It'll give you at the very, very top who your Key 3 are, and that way you can see. If you end up not being a Key 3, but you need to be a delegate, they can actually make you a delegate as well so that you are getting the same emails that they are getting. You'll get all those tools as well.
I have a question.
Of course, Chris, go ahead.
I know the intent of this was more to kind of go over this tool, but I'm curious if anyone has any recommendations with actually like recruiting out of the schools. Like we have 5 schools that we've kind of found out are ours to claim, but we haven't really figured out how to reach out, who to reach out to, any of that.
Yeah, we can I mean, we don't have to stay on topic for this. This is all about how to get those leads in. You know, we've got them. What do we do with them? As far as your schools, that's great. 5 schools is amazing. That is such a wealth of potential there. So I'm amazed at that. So in my experience, you always want to reach out I always reach out in August. School starts in September or late August. You want to reach out in early August to the head administrative staff, add the principal on. You can find out their emails, you can find out their names through your district's website for the school district. So make sure you have all that information there. Reach out to them. I'm always like, hey, I hope you had an amazing summer. Do you have any events coming up? We would love to be a part of it. Now, in my experience, I've never expected to be there. I've never expected to have a table. I bring all my own supplies. Our schools have been fantastic where they have said, yes, we have a table for you. And when I get there, I say, how can we help you? This is a give and take relationship. That way you can build that relationship with your schools. So once you do get, those dates, make sure if you're asking, you have someone to send, because you don't want to reach out and not actually be there. So making sure you have people for those back to school nights or the open houses, or my favorite are the back to school barbecues because we bring games. So once you get into those schools, ask them how you can help them as a way to say thank you for allowing you to be there. As something as simple as handing out school maps. If you have scouts with you that can attend at school, have them show families around. That would absolutely be wonderful, because a lot of those kids are new coming in, especially if you do kindergarten nights, which typically are a little bit separate than the rest of the kids. And just maintaining that relationship with them. Ask them if you can do, the flag service for Veterans Day ceremonies. Just doing as much as you can. Can we raise the flag on the first day of school? Those are really, really great tools, and they start thinking about you. We did this so often in our pack when we were in Cub Scouts that we actually had schools start reaching out to us in October to get us lined up to do their flag service for Veterans Day assemblies. So making sure you have all that. And then once you do get in as well, finding out who the president of the PTA is, because they are often having, and the school will usually know who that is if they don't, have a Facebook page or whatnot. But getting to know that person, and that can change every year, so you'd have to keep up on that. Getting to know the PTA president of the schools you go to is amazing, because they are often having events and they often need volunteers. And we understand what it's like not to have enough volunteers. So if we can be there in uniform, provide games, provide them service, that's going to have them start reaching out to us. And then you're going to be there, and it's going to be that visibility. And once you get in, just having that visibility where you're sending scouts in uniform, sending leaders in uniform, providing them games, it's a wealth. It's amazing to be able to help them out and then also build that relationship with them. So I hope that answered your question. If not, let me know.
Yeah. So who again was it you said at the schools to reach out to?
So
Like not
always
not the principal.
typically the principal, I will put them on the email, but they're not the ones who respond. It's going to be the head admin staff. So they're
Okay.
either labeled as head secretary, head administrative, I think ours, and I'm in Lake Stevens, so in our school district, it is the head admin staff. So going into each school on your school district's website and looking for those positions, those are the ones who you want to answer to or have answer you. Because again, they're the ones who are helping set up these events. These are the ones who are managing all of it. So they're the ones who manage all that calendar. And again, if you can get in with them, they will absolutely start reaching back out to you. And again, always offer to help them. It's not just about what we need to be there. It's about helping them as well.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. Has anyone had success with using like Peach Jar?
I'm not sure about others. I had done Peach Star quite a bit. I don't really know if I got anyone from it, but I do love it. I like putting it out there because I know parents do flip through it. So I think it's a good tool to use and to have in your arsenal. I haven't personally in any of my units heard anyone coming from Peach Jar, but again, it's all about visibility. So getting that out there as well. So
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. And then Chris, are you aware that the council will send out peach jars on your behalf or on your unit's behalf?
Yeah, I don't recall. There's a form or something, right, on the website?
Yeah, yeah. So all of that's under recruiting on the Mount Baker Council website. So make sure you look at all the tools and everything that's available to you because they're great resources to not have to pay out of pocket for.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. I think we are all out of questions, but if you guys ever have anything that pops up later, please feel free to reach out. We are always happy to work with any of you guys individually or as a group. Thank you so much for being here, spending your warm Tuesday evening with us. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Of course. Have a wonderful evening.